right, so let's hope you guys can hear us here as we are off and running on the NBA Tip-Off Show powered by WagerTalk.com as Game 2s continue tonight in the association. Andy Lang, the prop god, Rob Veno here with us, and excited here, gentlemen, for this card tonight as we finally saw some teams cover last night. Hard to believe, but it is possible, in fact, even though the home teams continue to dominate here. So we're going to take a look at some of these games for you. And of course, those of you that have any questions joining us live here today, drop them in the chat room and we'll see if we can't come up with a list of plays that we like the best here. Andy, going to start it off with you in a game where everybody I've heard is anticipating regression coming for Damian Lillard and the Milwaukee Bucks here tonight. However, I could probably argue that I didn't see him make a bucket in the second half, so maybe regression already hit Damian Lillard in that series. But the reality is, do you have any faith on your Pacers tonight to get back in this and get it done here?
Yes, absolutely, I do. It was the worst of worlds for the Pacers, and it was the best of times for the Milwaukee Bucks, and you got to believe that, yes, regression is coming. The Pacers are not going to be that bad, and the Bucks are probably not going to be that good. And remember, it was just one game. That was one home game for the Milwaukee Bucks. Rob and I were talking before the show started, like, the Nuggets have that insane win. They're down 20. They come all the way back. Murray wins on the game winner. That counts as one win. The Bucks blowing out the Pacers, that counts as one win. It was easy peasy for Milwaukee, and it was blood, death, sweat, tears for the Nuggets. So I think you just got to remember it was one game. I actually built the same game parlay with this thinking. If you're a believer that there's regression coming, there's a 3-1 same game parlay that you can use in this game. You can take the Pacers money line and you can add the under 115.5 on the Milwaukee Bucks team total, and then under 3.5 Damian Lillard 3-pointers, and that gets you 3-1. That's plus 300 on that one. So if you think that Damian Lillard is not going to be that insanely hot, this is a really good way to attack it. Damian Lillard has been very, very good without Giannis in the lineup, but in his last 4-5 games, he's only gone over this total in 2 of them against the Pacers. And in the last 10 games, he's only gone over 3.5 3-pointers in 3 out of them. So this is not a guy that makes 4 3-pointers a game. Sure, he's going to take a lot of shots, but I think if he comes out a little bit cold, you're going to see him be a little bit more of a facilitator. And volume may not get him there. So if the Pacers are going to win, there's a really good way to take advantage of it. It's fade Lillard, fade the Bucks on the team total, and just take the money line. So plus 300 certainly has my attention in this one.
Kind of like where you're going with that, Andy. Rob Veno, what are you thinking here in this matchup tonight? Do they head back to Indiana, knotted up one apiece, or is anything that went wrong defensively for Indiana that fixable that we should expect maybe a different outcome here tonight?
Well, I'll start with that, Joe. I mean, defense and fixable can't be used in the same sentence with the Pacers, right? The offense is what can be fixable with them. They need to outscore you, to beat you. I do hope that they come back with a win here tonight because I have them for the series. Bet them early to win this series against the Bucks. Certainly game 1, they came out with what appeared to be jitters for sure. And you read a couple of quotes from Indiana Pacers players like veteran Miles Turner, and you would get that feeling that maybe the Pacers weren't exactly ready. Pascal Siakam was certainly ready. 36 points for all the talk about Lillard's 35. It was Siakam who was the game's leading scorer. And it's exactly the reason why Indiana picked him up. I mean, here's a guy with finals experience, and he had no problem in game 1. But when you're an offense-driven team like the Pacers are, and your offense breaks down, what's going to happen is what happened on Sunday. I mean, that was the lowest point output by Indiana all season long. I think they had one game all season long, 82 games, guys, one game where they didn't score 100. They got to 99. Here they only got to 94, so it was their lowest output, 39.6% from the field. They have to be better than that. Now, Tyrese Halliburton for 1. stood up and said, we need to pick up our tempo, which is what they're predicated on. They're predicated on tempo. And he said, we need to get into the paint more, which is, what they do. They score in the paint. If you just look at the second half numbers, 69-42 at halftime, Milwaukee, certainly you could say Milwaukee was comfortable, let off the gas. But I do think that you have to attribute some of the Pacers' jitters wearing off and some of the halftime adjustments to what happened in the second half as well. And what happened in the second half was Indiana won fast break points 8-0. Indiana won points in the paint 22-10. Indiana won second chance points 10-0. Again, some of that because Milwaukee got comfortable, but a lot of that because Rick Carlisle probably went into the locker room, chewed everybody out. And now that they got their anxieties out of the way, I think we could see a better Indiana team, especially from an offensive perspective here tonight. For those reasons, Joe, I thought 54.5 points for the Indiana team total look low. And first of all, we never saw that during the regular season. This isn't the regular season, but 54.5 is rather low. Despite how bad they were on Sunday, they got to 42. So I'm asking them for 13 more, which means just make a couple more shots, get to the free throw line a couple more times, and we probably get to 55 here. I don't think, like Andy was saying, I don't think that Damian Lillard can be as magical as he was in the first half the other day by Rick Carlisle, that they made some second half adjustments. They, ran what in the NBA they run out and force the ball out of Lillard's hands. And suddenly he became a passer rather than a shooter. Maybe we see some of that tonight. But for me, I like the bounce back theory here. I think Indiana puts up more than 54.5 in the first half.
Ooh, don't hate that one at all there. The best part about that game, quite honestly, was the fact that Indiana didn't roll over and die like the sieve they were in that first half. At least you saw some effort out of a very young team and made some adjustments. And you're right. But again, 0 for 5 was Damian Lillard in the second half without a damn point. So anybody that thinks it's not possible for him to have another 30-point night, you haven't been paying attention to what's been going on defensively for Indiana here. But they got an opportunity. Can't go down. I saw the numbers. I don't know, Andy or Rob, if you guys or anybody in the chat room, but I saw the number earlier today. Teams that lose the first two games, I think, in round one, and then I was like 85-5 or some absurd number about coming back and winning the series. I think it almost never happens, Rob, is basically what the number is. Like, there's a few games like that tonight. Going down 2-0 is kind of like the nail in the coffin here for the series.
Yeah, and you would think, Joe, that a lot of that has to do with your matching up a one with and the 4-5 would be the one series that you think where maybe the underdog or the visiting team has a chance. But I could understand those numbers, and you never want to go down 0-2. Hey, let's face it, the goal or the mission when you start a series as a visitor is just to go in and get a split, right? And the goal as the home team is to win them both and do your job. So we'll see which of these teams can accomplish what they seek out to do here. Certainly for Indiana, being a young team, it'd be really beneficial for them to get one here. It would do wonders for their confidence going back home.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, shout out Big Daddy in the house. Habe is here, a life in Vegas. Eric AOD in the house. Been looking on the back of milk cartons for you. Damn, dude, good to see you again here. Shout out to those of you joining us via Instagram as well as YouTube Shorts, Facebook, and let us not forget, of course, we have our normal YouTube channel there, our regular one. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button if you guys have a chance. And a shout out to those of you watching us on X, as we're going to take a look at another game here tonight, game 2, back against the wall. And that's going to be with the Phoenix Suns here tonight. Minnesota, pretty impressive, although I am starting to see some money come in on them. 2.5s. In a lot of spots now, 211.5 is what we're starting to see. The total coming down a little bit here. Andy, talk to me here. when it comes to Phoenix, are we going to get a better effort? I don't know, from Grayson Allen to name one, or really anybody else on Phoenix. Can we get enough points to get this thing back to Phoenix, knotted up one apiece?
Yeah, we'll have to check on the Grayson Allen status. He burned me. I had him over his 3 points, mate. He was terrible from shooting, and then he sprains his ankle. So at this point, I think he's still questionable. Not sure if he's going to go or not, which is a real bummer because he actually has a lot of effect on some of the props for the Phoenix Suns. If you're looking at if we're just looking at him, his rebounds and assist total is 5.5, and he's gone over this in 9 out of the last 10 games. He went over, despite the fact of his bad shooting performance, he has gone over in the last 3 games against Minnesota. So if he plays, you might be looking at that one. And if he doesn't go, that's extra 3-point shots. There's going to be 5, 6, 7 3-point shots to go around. And, a guy, Kevin Durant, his 3-point shot total is 2.5. And this is a guy that has not gone over against Minnesota this year. He only had 2 makes last time. But if Grayson Allen isn't in there, maybe he gets another extra shot and he goes over there and you're getting that at plus money. So I like that one. The book sniffed me out. I was looking at taking Gobert over his rebounds, but they have put that total at a really, really big number. I did think it was interesting that when looking at Rudy Gobert in the last game, that he went under his steals and his blocks. He didn't have any. And is he having that big of an impact that maybe Phoenix just isn't challenging him? Or maybe they just didn't challenge him in that one, but you can grab his under steals at plus 143. You can grab his under 1.5 blocks at plus 120. And like I said, he didn't have any. So maybe Phoenix has said, hey, we're not even going to challenge him. We're not going to give him a chance to really assert himself on the defensive end. We're going to settle for mid-range and 3-point shots. So you could be looking at some really, really nice money, kind of doing a little bit of counterintuitive thinking, taking under on Rudy Gobert steals and blocks there. But unfortunately for the Suns, I got to wait and see what's happening with Grayson Allen, and it's probably not going to come out till a couple hours, maybe an hour before tip-off, before we know exactly. So it's wait and see approach for the Phoenix Suns props in this one.
Yeah, I will say this, Rob. I mean, if guys can go, they're going to go. The bottom line is, though, it was they can certainly use him. But quite honestly, they've got 3 guys on that team who never take it to the rim anyway. I always thought this matchup favored Phoenix because you got a 3-headed monster that can pull up from anywhere on the court and knock down shots and, render Gobert and Cat, all these. This great defense, what difference does it? They ain't taking it to the rack. So, but they got to do it here, and that's the problem. And I don't know whether or not we can trust them. You got to think Durant and Booker, and this is their game, is it not here, Veno?
Well, Booker is the one guy who had the poorest statistics of those 3 in game 1, and if you believe he's going to come back and bounce back here, then you believe that he'll get the best of Anthony Edwards, who in modern day NBA basketball is kind of an anomaly because he plays as hard on defense as he does on offense. And that's the guy he's assigned to on the other side of the floor. So Anthony Edwards holding Devin Booker to 5 of 16 may not be a mirage. That may happen again, and it may fall upon the shoulders of Beal and Durant, who combined went 17 of 27 from the field, but they need more. Andy talked about the absence of Grayson Allen. That means you have to turn to the other 3-point shooters, Royce O'Neal, Eric Gordon, Josh Okogie, those guys who can make them. They need to make them on the road here. But I don't know if it's as easy. I thought the same way, Joe. I thought this has to be a Devin Booker game. But the more I thought about it, the guy who's guarding him is what they refer to nowadays as a DAWG dog. It's very hard when Anthony Edwards, he was the best player on the floor the other day, no question about it. And physically, they're certainly the much more physical team. I mean, the other side is soft. There's no question about it. They're more finesse than they are strength. And penetrating against Gobert becomes difficult, and having to guard Karl Anthony Towns outside the 3-point arc becomes tough. They've got a lot of length on the perimeter. I mean, a lot of ways you would think they would frustrate Phoenix. This is one game, Joe, where it didn't go the way the season series went, right? Phoenix blew this team out 3 times regular season.
Yep.
And then when push came to shove, it wasn't close. Phoenix won the first quarter. Minnesota won the next 3 quarters. With that one under their belt, I almost feel like Minnesota's even more confident now, and it's going to be difficult for Phoenix here. I'd rather wait for them to get home. If you're a believer in Phoenix, they're now plus 145 to win the series. Maybe you take your shot here because if they do win tonight, you're not going to see that plus 145 anymore. But I don't know that I'm on Phoenix's corner here. I like the way Minnesota played. I think they've got enough firepower, and certainly they're the better defensive team.
So we've got some interesting comments coming in on the chat room. And again, welcome those of you joining us live here today. Game 2's here tonight on this Tuesday. We are certainly looking forward to them. It has been home dominant, though, when you look at what we've seen thus far, Andy and Rob, it has been all about the home teams. We got the Lakers finally, who I believe the comment in the chat room, if I'm not mistaken, was they're done. When they lost that game last night. But don't forget, good teams win, great teams cover. The Lakers did get that cover last night, even though they didn't win that game. The Sixers did the same. Sixers and Lakers found ways to throw up all over themselves like we've never seen before. So kudos to the Sixers and the Lakers. But other than that, Veno, it's been as chalky as ever. So let's say Minnesota wins again. Another home team. I mean, you look at the home favorites here tonight. Milwaukee is now a favorite coming from a pick'em. We'll talk about the Clippers coming up. Can you remember a start to the first round being this chalky through 11 games already?
No, especially with the big numbers, Joe. I mean, the big numbers, it has, Miami with 14.5. You could throw that in the garbage that day. The Orlando side getting 5.5, 6, not good. Tonight we have we have 3 home favorites. Basically, they're asked to win the game. No line higher than 3 points. So to get a dog to cover, you probably get an outright win with that cover. So it might not apply as much to tonight, but New Orleans got it started on Sunday night. Oklahoma City looks like they were overpriced, and then it carried over to the Sixers and the Lakers yesterday. But all those teams, again, we're getting bigger numbers than what we're seeing here tonight. So I think, again, if you think that visiting dogs are going to get the job done tonight, you're probably just as well to play money line or play series price because they're all down 0-1 and they're all priced higher to win the series than they were before game 1 happened.
I'm seeing a lot of Kevin Durant in the chat, Andy Lang, and I believe his PRA, and you got to figure that, listen, Durant is going to get whatever Kevin Durant can get, right? 35.5 points, assists, and rebounds is what I saw this at this morning here, and this is all about Kevin Durant here. It would be great if Bradley Beal could help him or Booker, but since they're such an unknown commodity, if I'm looking to play a PRA, I'm looking at Durant, period, because I have a pretty good idea of what we're going to get from him.
Yeah, he went over last game. He's a tough one because if we're just going by the numbers, and if we're only looking at the numbers, he's only gone over this in 3 out of the last 10 games versus Minnesota. Earlier he's played him 4 times this year. He's only gone over twice. He's a tough one. Joe, listen, I really preach this. I stay away from the big name guys. I just don't feel like there's value there. Like when you look at the numbers of the big name guys, their PRAs are pretty dialed in. It's tough to find value on them. So, yeah, this is a Durant spot. Over the years, he's normally come through with this, but this is a different team. This is a different year. This is a different opponent. So, I'm not sure if I find value in Durant. Now, if you want to lock it in now and hope that Grayson Allen is out, you're going to get a couple points, probably value there. But yeah, these big name guys, I can't get to the window on them. Much as I like to believe in Durant, much as I like to believe, we could see a 40-point game The numbers just don't bear it out. I'll save my money for bets elsewhere.
Yeah, it's and I don't blame guys. Listen, if you're backing Durant to get it done, you're probably backing Phoenix, Veno, right? I would gather that those that are looking at Durant, and I think his point prop alone was 25.5. I think that was it, Andy, somewhere in that ballpark. I think it was 25.5, and they ain't winning if you don't get 25.5, right, Veno? Or do you think that he might just go off and they still lose?
That's a good possibility, right? I mean, he had 31 and they still lost, and they lost big. Yep. They didn't just lose, they lost big. And like I say, he and Beal shot 60% from the field, didn't have a lot of shots, 6 of 10, but Bradley Beal still had 15 points. The guy that was missing again was Devin Booker. And you know, the old adage, Joe, that these role players, they perform at home, but not on the road. And for Phoenix the other day, Royce O'Neal at least hit 4 threes to help out a little bit. But they're going to need some help from other guys here because, again, I'm not so sure that Devin Booker is going to find it real easy this entire series with Anthony Edwards hounding him. So I would, you know, Durant's the guy that if you're going to, that number 35.5, boy, it does seem low. I have to tell you. Andy said the other day, he hit 39. And he did 39, Joe, with 1 assist. So his PRA went over with him only getting 1 assist. He did it basically all with points and rebounds. I understand the theory that the high profile guys, the numbers are dialed in, but at this point in time, they probably take it upon themselves a little bit more. Durant, I'm just looking here, only 17 shot attempts, but he did go to the free throw line 9 times. So again, I would probably look his way to go over, and I don't think there's any guarantee they win, even if he does.
Yeah, be careful. But he is certainly going to have to show up if they're going to be able to get this done. The flip side of that, and it's so funny because I'm seeing a whole lot of interest in the Phoenix side, but Edwards, what do we got here from him in points I'm seeing here? He's another guy, Andy, that, yeah, I can promise you that if can they win without him going off? His point prop was 25.5 as well. And it does feel like if I'm back in Minnesota, I'm backing Anthony Edwards to show up and show out again. It ain't going to be Conley that wins it for him. It's got to be Edwards.
Yeah, bold take. Yeah, Conley's not going to be the go-to guy tonight. I love that. Love that analysis.
I don't even think Cat could have a night. I don't even think Cat could have a great night and then win without Edwards being a big part of it.
No, so it's interesting. Did Anthony Edwards just have a random one-off game against the Suns team? Did he step it up in the playoffs?
That's a huge question. Yep.
Because, listen, he had 33 the last game against Phoenix in the playoffs. That's fantastic. In 3 games against Phoenix in the regular season, he had a combined 43 points. He had 13, 17, and 13. So what he did on 420, and I see the 420 crowd in our comment section.
Yeah.
What he did was a complete. It was what he did. What he did was a complete. And there's definitely some Durant shout outs about 420 in the comment section. So listen, you have to decide if you're going to play Anthony Edwards. Say, hey, is he stepping it up because it's the playoffs, and this is where we see Anthony Edwards cement himself as a top 5, clutch player in the league, or was that just a really big hot streak? I mean, it's going to be fascinating to watch Anthony Edwards and Lillard tonight. Like, all bets are off with these guys, I think, and this is why I struggle with. How do you find value in that? Is Anthony Edwards going to go for 13 again, or is he going to go for 33 again? My guess is he's not going to be around 25.5. It's going to be way under or way over, and I'm not willing to risk my hard-earned money to try and figure that out. But Lillard and Edwards, very, very two compelling, very interesting, polarizing props for tonight. I just can't get to the window on either of them.
Yeah, no, that they are. And also Alonzo in the YouTube shorts telling us, put your mortgage on the Suns first quarter and the Suns +3 full game. So We do have a little bit of love here for Phoenix tonight to get this thing to 1 apiece. And that, of course, will bring us to the last game there with the Dallas Mavericks and the LA Clippers. And boy, that was an interesting second quarter, was it not, Dallas? That was really interesting. Let's do that again real soon. That was fun. And your 8 points, which pretty much did them in for that game, because the rest of the game kind of went, Rob Veno, according to what we thought it might be. It was just they buried themselves in that second quarter, and then that was the end of it. Now, give the Clippers credit defensively. They did a really, really good job there, but I don't foresee them getting another single-digit quarter or even a low-scoring quarter in this one here. If anybody's going to zigzag, it feels like Dallas is tonight. Is that where you're thinking?
I would agree with that. And we don't yet know the status of Kawhi Leonard, who was present at shoot-around today. So Kawhi may go. But remember, Kawhi hasn't played in a game this month. And we often talk about when you miss multiple games or a cluster of games like that, does it disrupt chemistry when you come back? Possibilities playing with inflammation in what I believe I read is both knees, not just one. One may be worse than the other, but Kawhi's got issues, lateral movement and whatnot. So we'll see what effect he has on this game. Joe, some things that we looked at, and this is kind of similar to what Indiana did in the first half, right? Dallas and Indiana, I think we could draw comparisons too. But for Dallas, I did read one line of thinking that said Jason Kidd should have never sat both Kyrie and Luka for the final 2 games of the season, because bringing them back on such long rest didn't benefit Dallas whatsoever. They got blown out in the last 2 regular season games and got blown out in the first half, only 30 points. They did come back with 67 second half points. Again, like Indiana, I think there was some youth on this team that just didn't understand playoff basketball. And that youth that I talk about is Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively Jr., who are the rim protectors for the Mavericks. And not that Gafford's young. He's been in the league a couple of years, but he hasn't been to the playoffs. So you're talking about 2 guys in their first playoff game, and they got absolutely run over physically by Zubats for the Clippers. You probably have to feel that a little bit before you understand it. And in fact, Daniel Gafford didn't have a rebound in that game, which Dallas at the end of the season, last 20 games, were dependent upon those 2 guys, and they were really a lot of the difference in this team. So that's got to be straightened out. But again, you shoot 22% from the floor first half, 11% from 3, and then come back with 67 second half points. That's more like it for Dallas. Like Milwaukee, you could say that the Clippers let off the gas pedal a little bit because they were so far in front. But if you let a team come back and reestablish their offensive rhythm the way they did, I don't know that that's a good sign either heading into game 2. I'll say this also about Luka Doncic, Joe, and I don't know if you guys noticed the same thing, but Dallas trailing by 20 plus, 20 plus, 20 plus. They finally get it under 20 in the third quarter. They get the ball down 19. They take a rebound. Luka goes down the floor, doesn't even look at any of his 4 teammates, pulls up from like 29 feet and clanks a 3. Other side gets the ball. They go score. Now you're down 21. Dallas gets it back. Kyrie driving layup, cuts it back to 19. Clippers miss. Dallas rebounds. Luka claps his hands, demands the ball, immediately goes 1-on-3 and misses. And starts throwing a hissy fit to the point where Jason Kidd had to pull him from the game. Now, they tell us that Luka matured. He's matured, but I don't know how much he's matured, to tell you the truth. It didn't look like it in that third quarter, because you've said it to me numerous times. 20-point leads in the NBA this year are absolutely zero meaning. They don't mean anything. And if there was ever a time to run some organized offense, it was then. But I think tonight they probably bounce back, Joe. Like I say, the 2 guys down low got a little bit of a taste of what it's like. I think refereeing crews in these games always make a difference. How much have we heard already about how these players can't stand what the refereeing is? So keep an eye on it from game to game. These crews can have a different effect on that. And I'll say this, from Dallas's standpoint, just because they're such a good offensive team, we see a lot of adjustments from game 1 to game 2 in these totals, especially because every game seems to go under. Dallas's team total in game one was 112.5. Tonight it's 107.5. And it was actually 108.5 before Kawhi showed up at shoot around. So because the odds makers have to increase the Clippers team total since Kawhi's now present, that means they lower the Dallas team total. So Dallas, you get extra value in Dallas despite no absences from their offensive force. So I would think that maybe Dallas team total here, to see the Mavericks not get to 98, 108, I think I'd be surprised. I think they could win the game too, but I would put a lot of faith in Dallas scoring more than 107.5 tonight.
Oh, kind of like I like that look, Veno, because I don't think Kawhi goes, especially since they won game one. I'd be shocked if they push him back. And we've seen this here. You know, a really good giveaway that Kawhi's not going to play when he's up in the owner's box watching the game. Yeah, I think that's he dead giveaway that he will not be in uniform helping the Clippers in this game at all. Andy, what are you looking at prop wise with this game? We got a lot of people. I mean, Doncic is easy, right? But him and Kyrie, they've got to get some help. But what about the Clippers as well here? I mean, is Zubac going to have another all-world game? I mean, what do you do when you look at this game?
Well, first off, I would just like to say that complaining about the refs in the playoffs, this was the old Phil Jackson special, and it works. The reason that teams and players do this is it works. You get on the refs, and all of a sudden you start getting some calls. And I as a former referee, I always like to try and defend the refs. I'm going to defend LeBron on this one. D'Angelo Russell got hit in the face, and they reviewed it, and they said, he didn't get hit in the arm. I was like, yes, he missed the arm and hit him in the head. So there's a couple times where, listen, maybe not like the complaining, but sometimes they're right. Yeah, the inside game is where all the props are, and you kind of have to plant your flag in this one. And I did my free video earlier today, and I'm taking Daniel Gafford under his points, rebounds, and assists. He was worthless. 14 minutes, 3 points. As Rob said, no rebounds, no assists. Zubac ate him up, 15 rebounds for Zubac. And they went to Maxi Kleber, and they just said, you know what, Gafford, if you're not going to defend and bang down low and get rebounds, you're really not that useful to us. We're going to put some 3-point shooters out there. He's got a short leash. If he's getting eat up again, they cannot afford to have him out there not getting rebounds. It's like, well, if you're not getting rebounds, we can put a power forward masquerading as a center out there and at least try and stretch the floor with Zubac. So if you're a believer that Gafford may struggle again, which I think he will, I would look at Daniel Gafford under 16.5 points, rebounds, and assists, because the Mavs are quick to pull him out and have him not play very many minutes. He played the fewest amount of minutes of anybody that played 10 or more minutes. He was the lowest minutes guy of either team. So you can look at Gafford under, and if you like Gafford under, you could look at Maxi Kleber over his rebounds and assists. He flew over because he played 27 minutes. He was terrible shooting, but he at least grabbed some rebounds. And Zubac, I kind of like him to get over this 9.5 total on the rebounds. Mavs have struggled with rebounding. I mean, honestly, what is Luka, their best rebounder? So I think Zubac is going to have his way again inside. I just don't see the aggression or the ferociousness or whatever it is. As Rob says, the DAWG in some of these guys for the Clippers inside. Zubac is too big for him. So I'm kind of on the side that I think Gafford struggles. I'll happily take his under PRA. I like Zubac if he stays out of foul trouble to get over that 9.5, and maybe even look at Zubac a plus money at double-double. If he gets to 10 rebounds, surely he's going to get some putbacks and end up over the 10-point mark. So that's how I would look at props in this one. And again, Kawhi throws a wrench into the props. Hard to pick anybody else on the Clippers without knowing what's going to happen with him.
You bring up a good point, Andy. It's not like, Dallas had an interesting roster to begin with this year. They made some moves, PJ Walker, but they don't really have an answer for him. So I'm not quite sure what else they're going to be able to do, which means he could very well eat again here tonight. And those are easy tickets to cash for sure. We do have a interesting question here, Veno, from a life in Vegas in a chat asking how much stock and analysis do we put into the coaching matchup, Ty Lue versus Jason Kidd. Big mismatch in your mind. How do you look at that, especially from a series perspective? How do you look at the coaching matchup in this one?
And both, Joe, from time to time, Kidd more than Ty Lue, but both have been ridiculed from time to time, especially in their postseason coaching. So I don't know if there's a substantial edge either way. I think from what we see tonight, you could probably come up with a better or speak with more conviction on whether there is or not, because today is supposed to be the day of adjustments. If you're Dallas, and Andy talked about it a little bit, if you're Dallas, you need to push tempo because you don't want to play half-court basketball with these guys, and you want to run guys like James Harden. You want to run at Paul George. You want to run at Zubac. And Dallas certainly has the live wires to do it. So we'll see which one makes adjustments. A lot of times the team that wins and wins comfortably doesn't feel like there's any adjustments to be made. And so this one really should be on Jason Kidd. We'll see. He's got some things he can go to. But just to add to what you guys were saying, honestly, I don't know who Luka can defend in this series. To tell you, if you watch Luka out there, and he just like a guy will be. I watched Terrence Mann the other day get set up for a wide open three, and Luka basically just look him in the eye and not even run out to defend the three. So I don't know what Luka's purpose is on defense. Certainly, he makes up for it on offense. We'll see if Kidd can adjust here. If you need a real answer to the question, I'd say you have to give a slight adjustment to Ty Lue. But then again. Yeah, well, no, those are Rick Carlisle teams. Scratch me on that. Yep. I was going to say Dallas has beaten the Clippers in the playoffs before, but I think that was Rick Carlisle teams.
Yeah, that was the Carlisle era there. We do have, interesting enough, I know in Law D TV in the house pointing it out here, with Kawhi questionable still, we have seen the Clippers get a whole lot of money in here. -1.5 now, the Clippers, Rob, I'm starting to show up here, and maybe even a -2. The total two hovering around 216.5. So is this the anticipation that he may very well give it a go because he was at the shoot around, or is this a spot in which, once again, the market over, like you had said, hasn't played in a long time, but this money is rolling in right now on the Clippers, Veno?
Well, you know what, Joe? We do this every single day.
Yes, we do.
From the beginning of October till the middle of June, we do this NBA show and we say just about the same thing. They're no more than ambulance chasers. These, I mean, it's oh amazing. My God, somebody's hurt. Quick, go to the rack with this. And if you subscribe to your theory, which is that Kawhi will be comfortable in the owner's box tonight, then you have to play Dallas right now with this overreaction while you can still get it, because if Kawhi gets ruled out 20 minutes before game time, of course, LA's not going to be a favorite anymore. So, it amazes me to no end how much influence, not even a definite injury, but how much influence potential injury or absence or insertion into a lineup has an effect on these lines at this time of day. It's absolutely crazy. But I think if you like Dallas, you play Dallas, Kawhi or no Kawhi.
Yeah, you guys, I mean, it's rolling in right now. It's kind of crazy. 1.5, even a 2 starting to pop up here. And that's the only thing that can be, of course, is the availability of Kawhi Leonard here tonight. But quite honestly, with Kawhi, without Kawhi, still like Dallas. And I tell you what I am doing here, Andy, and there does seem to be some consensus in the chat room with this. 34.5 points, rebounds, and assists for James Harden. Not going to happen here. I can't. Oh, hell no, James. I don't think anybody in there believes James is going to put back-to-back efforts like he had last game there. Andy, no, get out of here. No way, James. Not going to happen. It's a strip club with your name written all over it, baby. I can't see him. I mean, that's a big number here. They need him. Regardless if Kawhi comes back or not, you don't know how many minutes he's going to play, if he's going to play the whole game, even if he goes. But Harden, I think, would be a huge target for people to go, oh, hell no. I'm fading him across the board here.
Yeah, he didn't go over this number one time in the regular season. He was great in that game. He was great. And that's the problem. How many times these days do we get 2 back-to-back great games from James Harden? It's kind of tough. I was actually looking at his rebounds and assists. Despite his huge production, he only had 10 rebounds and assists, and they got the number 14.5. That seems really ambitious. He's only gone over 3 out of the last 10 games. So I'm lockstep that Harden unders a little bit. Strip club theory in full effect. Absolutely 100% tonight. So you got to believe there's a little bit of a letdown. I can't imagine he's going to be. And if there was like fourth quarter unders, yeah, you got to believe he's probably out of energy or distracted or thinking about what's coming later tonight. So yeah, Harden unders. I would have to agree with the chat room in this one.
Yeah, I agree with them too. I would not be looking towards Harden to get it done again here tonight. So there you got it. We got 3 games here. Suns, Timberwolves. Going to kick it off 7:30 Eastern time. 8:30, you're going to have the Pacers and the Bucks. And then, of course, late game will be Dallas and the Clippers. And I know there seems to be some of you guys looking to double up right now. If you already took Dallas, now they're going to be getting some points. And I would say wait until the start of the game. And if the Clippers run out to a little lead there, Veno, you can probably get over a bucket, 3.5, maybe even or better once this game starts, especially if Kawhi Leonard is officially ruled in here. So if you haven't betted already, I don't know, should we be jumping on Dallas now, Veno, if you haven't betted already, or would you wait just a little bit longer? Because if he, in fact, does get ruled in, are we looking 2.5, 3 before it's all said and done?
We are. And if he gets ruled out, we're looking at Dallas being a favorite again. So that's the bind they put us in, right, Joe? I mean, it's so hard. It's so much guesswork. The in-game stuff, you're absolutely right. I mean, Dallas the other day at halftime, I caught them plus 16.5 at halftime. And, of course, LA's notorious for letting teams back in the game, and Dallas made that number. So you can always in-game it, but where Kawhi is concerned, it's just you don't know if that shoot-around was a token showing or if it actually meant something. And when was it last night, guys? I didn't notice it. And maybe I noticed it right when it happened, but it looked like it was about 20 minutes before game time when Maxey and Embiid were both announced in. That's how long it takes sometimes to wait. I mean, and then you see the total and the line go crazy. Yep.
I, for one, am very glad that they were both in because that worked wonders for them last night. The Sixers, very good job. Now there is absolutely no excuses for when you get bounced out here. Oh, Maxey and Embiid.
Yes, there is.
No, they still sucked. Oh, you still
found excuses. They got excuses. So we can't grab a rebound. No, they found
Philly
excuses.
Fans
what do you mean there's no
excuses? Never have excuses. I also want to send a shout out once again. Maybe the chat comment of the month here is got to go to our man. Let me make sure I get the quote here correct. Law DTV once again, who is actually at FanDuel, I think, and he almost fell down when he saw the line move, was right here in the chat room sharing it with us. But he says the problem with Kawhi's knees are made of Anthony Davis. That might be the best quote we have seen in a very, very long time. Outstanding. Catch you slipping. First thing he comes in with, by the way, today is, what the hell happened to the Lakers last night? Lakers got toasted once again by Denver.
That's a serious question, Rob. Are the Lakers either tied or winning the series against any other team that they would be playing? They've gotten monster games from Davis, LeBron, Russell played good. It's just they're going up against the Denver Nuggets, and I go back to that. Go back to that stupid play-in game where Zion gets hurt, and all of a sudden the Lakers end up winning. You do have to wonder, like the butterfly effect, like these little itty bitty things that happen. I don't think the Lakers have played that bad. I'm just I would wonder if they were playing. What if they were playing OKC?
What if they weren't in altitude?
Joe, I was just going to say, Joe. It's the same old story. Every game they play in Denver, it's the same old story. Race out in the first half, look great, and the second half just starts to erode. Jamal Murray was worthless for 3 quarters in that game. I mean, he was hurting the team more than he was helping.
He was terrible.
And then all of a sudden, he's 6 for 8 because the Lakers stopped guarding. The Lakers stopped doing whatever they were doing. I think they get fatigued, to tell you the truth, and he hasn't gone to the bench whatsoever in that series. He's running these guys ragged at 44 minutes, 42 minutes, 41 minutes. So I think you're right, Joe. If they were playing at another venue, maybe different story. And if they were playing a different team, Andy, certainly a different story. And I know it was you that brought it to my attention that in the fourth quarter of that Pelicans game, LeBron started missing layups. And it looked like he actually wanted to lose that game, right? But he had to go and get hurt, right, guys? He just had to go and get hurt.
Otherwise,
the plan would have worked.
That's right. Don't go ahead and pull anything here. My goodness. Also, it was funny because catch you slipping on yesterday's show in the chat room. He literally laid out all of the big events over the last couple of years that the Lakers look to celebrate, like when they were getting their rings. They did it in front of Denver a couple of years. Denver beat them. When they unveiled the Kobe statue, they played Denver. Denver beat them. Denver has literally beat them for the last 3 years like nobody's business. Every time the Lakers try and do something, they get their ass handed to them by the Denver Nuggets. It's absolutely unbelievable here. We do have, of course, best bets that are locked and loaded with these guys at WagerTalk here. Andy, what's on the menu here tonight on your page at WagerTalk?
Tonight we got one pack that is up. It's an MLB pack with just one game of the week. This is what I'm doing in MLB this year. I'm basically doing 1, maybe 2 games a week. It's worked out great. I'm 6-1. So very, very low volume. We've attached an NHL prop to that pack as well. So just one MLB play and one NHL play. That is one price of WagerTalk. And we got a 5% UFC play that is up. I would encourage everyone to get on that before the lines start adjusting. They're gonna keep moving later in the week, but lock that in now. We're having a really, really nice MMA run. 6-1 on those. We easily hit our last 5% play on Alex Pereira. I see Cheshire Cat and I were celebrating live when Alex Pereira cashed our 5% play. So we're having a really, really good run in MMA and UFC. So encourage everyone to get the 5% play for tonight. Grab that MLB play. You're going to get a free NHL prop attached to that one. And Daniel Gafford is honestly my best play in the NBA. So I didn't put it up for sale or anything. It's a free play. We talked about it here on the show. So let's cash that one, MLB, NHL, and 5% UFC.
There you go. Andy Lang, lock loaded. Gafford is his best bet here tonight, guys, in that game. And Rob Veno, how about you, my man? Locked and loaded here tonight?
We are, Joe. Para plays up 1.4% best bet, 1.3% top play, both up and available right now, WagerTalk.com. NBA has been good to me this month. We're up 18 units here in the month of April, hitting 60% of our plays. So like a couple tonight, wasn't as thrilled with the card last night, but I think we see a couple opportunities here, and we will as, these countless days of NBA playoffs go on. I think we can get a pretty good read on stuff. So check it out right now, WagerTalk.com. You get a pair of NBA one best bet and one top play.
All right. Well, hold on. Let's hear. We've got royalty just decided to show up in the house in the chat room here. So I know he knows Miami doesn't play until tomorrow. But S. Warrior in the house showing up. The first thing he asked was, "Did you guys already pick Miami?" No. Tomorrow.
No.
Didn't go over it.
No, we did not.
Didn't go over it. Tomorrow, join us. We'll do it. One more time, a couple of questions, Andy, about it, I believe. What was the best bet again with Gafford? There was some confusion in the chat room.
Sure. Daniel Gafford under 16.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He didn't play very many minutes in game one. Zubac ate him up. And if he's not effective tonight, they're going to have to get him out of the lineup because he doesn't provide a lot of offense. And if he's not giving you that defense and that rebounding down low, he really doesn't serve a good purpose. So they're going to pull him out. They're going to put Kleber in. Kleber played 27 minutes last game. So he has to prove his worth with rebounding and defense. If he doesn't, it's going to be another very low minute night for him, only 14 minutes in game one. So that's the theory behind the play.
All right. We got one more Veno there as well. Is that Carlos, I believe, in the chat room, wanted to know what was your best bet tonight here for the show? Were you leaning towards one play more than the others?
I like that Indiana team total first half, guys. I just think that they're going to come out with a sense of urgency, a little bit of purpose. They're an offense-driven team. And to tell you the truth, we know that Milwaukee hasn't been a very good defensive team. I mean, what happened the other day, I think, was more attributed to Indiana jitters than it was Milwaukee defense. So we're going to look at the Indiana team total first half over 54.5. Just seemed like we get a lot of value in that number.
Would you take Gafford's points under as well, Andy? Is what we are. Would you take Gafford's points under? No. Or would you do that separately?
No, I want the total of points, rebounds, and assists, because if he plays less than 20 minutes, it's hard to imagine him getting over 16.5. He's got a low point total tonight. Even if he plays 15 minutes, what if he happens to go like 4 of 4 on layups or something? And now he has 8 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, and so I don't really want to mess with the low total on the points. I want the high number on the points, rebounds, and assists, thinking he gets low minutes.
Love it. I'm just going to take, now that Dallas is at plus money, I'll take it. Thanks. Dallas is going to win this. This is going to go back and forth all day long. And big shout out to AOD, who ends the show with Pistons in 5. Outstanding, AOD. Always talking back to date. You are to go to Instagram. They day drink over there, apparently. Out of control. Gentlemen, that has been fantastic. Big Daddy, appreciate it. Thinks your pick is very interesting there. Veno, I agree with it. First game, 7:30 here tonight, but don't forget to head over to WagerTalk.com. Visit Rob's page. Visit Andy's page. These guys are locked, loaded, ready to go. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up if you could. We certainly appreciate it, and make plans to come back and join us. Yes, you, S. Warrior. We will cover the Miami Heat, the Boston Celtics, and the New Orleans Pelicans taking on OKC. We will do that again tomorrow and see if we can't get a little zigzag going. Until then, guys, best of luck with the plays here tonight. We'll see you again soon. Good luck.